What's up? I'm Matt Guff, and this is the deck that I'm going to be riding this season, the 2021 Burton Custom Camber. Camber is a deck that has been around for a really long time, 24 years to be exact. And this is a deck that I'm going to be riding on snow this year for a couple of reasons. But one of them is because the snowboard industry has kind of like gone into a lot of wild shapes within like the last 5 years. And I kind of want to just kind of come back to a classic shape board, pretty much a twin feeling board with a camber profile shape, just kind of classic, nice and sturdy underfoot, and can handle basically everything. And that's what this board is designed for, everything. It does have a directional twin actual style shaping to it, but it's for all mountain freestyle use. So you can take it anywhere you want. But it's a little bit more beefy for the intermediate to advanced level rider. And like I've ridden a lot of a similar deck called the Custom X, and that one's like really hard charging. And I kind of just want to tone it back a little bit and have something that's just going to work well basically everywhere. The board, when it was first designed in '96, has kind of gone through a lot of different, classifications and molds, and there's been a lot of stuff happening to the deck. And Burton has kind of expanded upon that and created not only just a camber version, but also a flying V version of the custom. And they also have another completely different deck called the Custom X, hard charging with camber and flying V. And then they also have a kids board called the Custom Small with I believe it's called Pure Pop style profile shape. So there's lots of different boards within the custom style lineup that do well, but this one I feel is the best out of all of them for me. It is a directional twin style board. Outside of the nose's contact point, the board's about 1.25 centimeters longer. That's it. Everything within the contact points on both the nose and the tail is basically twinned out. The stance is centered. The side cut radius is centered. The only thing that makes this a directional twin board is that the nose is just a little bit longer. So when you look at the overall shaping of the deck, again, directional twin, and it is as if the stance is set back from the overall shape, but it's still centered within the radial side cut radius, which is actually pretty cool. Now the feel and flex rating of this bad boy, which needs to be taken out of the wrapper, the feel and flex rating of this thing can be about a 6 or so. I'd say maybe just a little bit stiffer, and it will feature a centered and a twinned out style flex to it. So the nose and the tail are going to flex the exact same. The board really does have a wonderful appeal this year. It kind of has like this matte style finish. A couple years ago, they upgraded the nose shape and tail shape to be a little bit more blunted out. And I believe the graphic for this season was done and kind of inspired by Ben Ferguson, Pacific Northwest rider, who absolutely slays, has an awesome younger brother. His family's really rad, but he's kind of the guy behind this year's graphic. Now, I've always liked Mike Valalay, the old school skater. I've always loved his lightning bolt tattoos. So when this first came out, when I saw the graphic for this one, I was like, ooh, it's on the custom. I actually really like that. But twinned out style shape. And there's kind of a lot that goes into the deck too. As for the wood core, it's got a dual zone EGD or edge grain direction. There's wood grains that run basically tip to tail, but then there's also sections near the edges that run perpendicular to the edge for better energy transfer. And that core has been actually milled out with something called squeeze box technology, which makes the board just a little bit thicker on the lateral and medial sides of where each bindings rest. So again, better energy transfer directly from your feet right to the edge. This is a Superfly 2 wood cord, 700 grams. It's extremely lightweight. The board that I'm riding, this custom camber, is actually the 158 wide. Some boards that you go above like 162 start to feel a little bit too big for me when I spend most of my time riding here in the Midwest. The 58 wide is like a really good size for me. I'm about 6'4", weigh about 215, 210, and this is just enough board for me without feeling like it's too much. And then as for the glass, it's pretty wild what's happening inside the board that kind of like wrap this wood core. It's called 45-degree carbon highlights. Now on the top of that Superfly 2 wood core, there's actually 2 layers of glass. On the very top is a 0-degree unidirectional fiberglass. Underneath that is 45 and -45-degree carbon, and then there's the top of the wood core. On the bottom is actually 45 and -45 carbon, and then below that, closest to the base, is a unidirectional full carbon sheet. So torsionally, this is a pretty meaty board. Lots of carbon, lots of explosive energy. You know, even though it's not extremely stiff board, the reactions that the custom camber has after you kind of like compress it will kind of throw you into the next turn or pop your ollies ultra high. And that's a cool thing about having a full camber profile shape. I love the stability that I feel on a full camber board. But there's one thing that you have to watch out for when you ride the custom camber, is that these contact points can feel a little bit catchy. So, you know, detune them just a little bit, because catching those edges is not a fun time. You can catch them while you're ripping groom trails. You can catch them in the park, of course. But the amount of energy that the custom camber has with the carbon highlights and the profile shape is almost unbeatable. And as for the base, you know, to be honest though, I'm not too sure about these colors. You know, I like everything, but I'm not the biggest fan of that. Probably because I don't have any bindings to match it, and I don't have any outerwear that matches it, so maybe that's just it. But the base is actually a WFO base. It's a wax-infused sintered base. You need to keep it waxed up, keep it maintained throughout the season. What I like to do when I ride, you know, usually like every 3, maybe 4 times I go rip, I put a coat of like all temp wax. You know, usually it's Swix, but sometimes it's, you know, Bluebird, you know, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just use an all temp wax to keep the base moisturized. If you're getting some really wild conditions, you want to go faster than all your buddies, you know, just throw some, you know, florals if you want on it. But overall, super fast base, but you need to keep it maintained and waxed up. And then for the edges, this is just a standard radial side cut. A cool thing about the custom camber, it comes in a billion different sizes. The smallest size in the men's version, the 150, has, I believe, like a 7.4 meter side cut radius, which is about average, you know, medium style the side cut radius. But then the 170 wide, the really big custom, has an 8.7 meter side cut, which is a gigantic turning radius. So if you like those big sweeping turns, make sure to get a custom camber that has, you know, a bigger side cut radius. Another cool thing about the edges is they actually feature frostbite. You know, frostbite basically down the barrel of the board, where your bindings rest, there's little protrusions, just a little bit, that kind of just stick out to add additional kind of contact point when you're on an edge and engaging your turn. So you could say that there's basically 4 main contact points with the board. You know, nose and tail contact point, and then the frostbite under each foot on your toes and your heels. Overall though, the reason that I'm riding the custom camber this year is because I kind of want to go back to the basics. I want a sturdy board, performs well in all conditions. In deep snow, I can set the stance back, the nose is a little bit longer. In the park, I can center the stance up. You know, it's gonna feel good, regular, and switch. And yeah, I'm really excited to get on this thing for the season. Of course, you can purchase the deck by selecting the links below in the description. And yeah, support the cause and help us help you get on Shred and help you select the best equipment for your riding. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully, see you guys on snow.